looking at here is we can be quite relaxed actually when we're inclusional in an inclusional culture.
Yes.
If we're actually in a culture which already understands the
Yes.
notion of self as neighbourhood, that already understands the notion of inclusionality as essentially understanding the self as as embodiment of natural energy flow, which is the real currency of nature. And of course, when we talk about financial currency, that's kind of sometimes relates to that real currency of natural energy flow, and sometimes it doesn't. But essentially, the tensions arise when there is the effort to sustain an inclusional understanding, an inclusional sense of self within a culture which is exclusional.
Yes.
And which continues to teach itself to be exclusional. And Andy's example is beautiful because the cricket ground brings everyone together, and yet at the same time the ethos is competitive.
Yes.
I mean, the Aborigines had a wonderful. I'm told a wonderful story of the Aborigines when football was taken out to Australia, and the colonists couldn't understand the Aboriginals who insisted on playing until the scores were level.
But I've been wondering, how about a new form of cricket?
So maybe your cricket match should be insisting on playing until the scores are level.
But also as well, maybe within the interfaith forum, multi-faith forum, maybe there is a deep understanding within all of those faiths of the flow of energy that Alan has described, and that becomes the common energy flow, and that could be the common ground. Then from that common energy flow comes the creation of a common ground.
That
I can then bring that into a reality.
What constitutes a cricket team? Because you've got a really important
exactly
answer.
What constitutes a cricket team? I think we need to kind of most probably lay down some rules that no, there should not be a faith team.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Team A and Team B should all consist of a few Christians and a few Muslims and a few Jews and a few whatever it is.
And then play against the determinists.
Can I just question something? Okay. And whilst you were nodding, and it was about the idea that there's something about, for example, the interfaith forum, which can flow with, almost if you take an energy of communion or something which brings together. Now, I just want to question that, because my own belief, and what does I know, Irene, when you come, it is that, as far as I understand your own value space, it isn't placed within a theistic religion. Okay, so, right. So, what I'm just wanting to suggest is that the feeling of coming together as you contribute this evening, and it just feels very much in relation to Alan's, loving self as neighbourhood with your presence, as always is actually being expressed from within a sense of faith which is non-theistic. Yet within your multi-faith forum, I would imagine that the vast majority of groups have a theistic base. Is that?
Yes, a lot of faith groups do have a theistic base, and or perhaps a belief in one truth or one goodness.
Now, can I just stick with this, because it gives me that what you live but is very close to my understanding of Alan's notion of loving energy, and which does actually flow both from the infinite but also with your local presence. And it's that I was just curious about, in terms of what you're saying about what is it that moves us together. It was feeling that it was much more Irene's and Alan's expression, and also Henry's that. Joan Walter put it very, I think, a loving dynamic energy. That was what Joan referred to. So I'm just curious about, why is it that I'm feeling, if you like, so easy in your presence? It's just that, and it feels that it's to do with,
it's acceptance, isn't it?
I would say it's essentially about receptivity. and that actually that receptivity is right at the heart of the deepest truth that most, or if not all, religions relate to. But that deepest truth that all religions relate to very readily gets obscured by rationalistic thought that imposes hierarchy, structure, power dynamic relationships. Essentially, right at the heart of I think the deepest form of what we might call spirituality is this sense of the receptivity of living space, and which you can call holiness, you can call it all sorts of various names, Brahman, Wakantanka, Great Spirit, Holy Ghost, whatever you might wish to call it, but it's always about love, always about, most fundamentally, the notion of agape, that is always not a source of power, but a source of influence. And influence means, if you, almost in technical terms, I came up with a phrase not long ago of influx potential, which is actually, all it means is receptivity again. It's being shaped in such a way as to be receptive to other. Essentially, you could even think of it as the Grail, in the sense of the Grail is a receptive vessel. Yeah? And to be a receptive vessel, you not only need the space, but you need the lining, the informational lining of the space, so that that space isn't isolated, just nothingness, a sea of nothingness, but is actually a presence, which is in some senses embraced or encupped. And for me, that is right at the heart of the deepest spirituality, or whatever word you might wish to use, is that sense of the loving receptivity, which requires both the male and the female, the left and the right, the coming together of the one in each other, through the opening, that includes both. And that's at the heart of transfigural ways of thinking about mathematics. It's the heart of all. Well, this is the heart of transfigurality, essentially.
So what